Hi, this is Dan Sullivan. I'd like to welcome you to the Multiplier Mindset Podcast. Today's Free Zone success story comes to us from Ricky Smith, and Ricky does his workshop in Los Angeles. He's from Cedar Hill, Texas, specialty in insurance and financial services. And he's got two stories to tell. The first story is that he grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and he thinks that that was a huge boost for him because he could see that his whole family life had gone to a much higher level than situations where the parents were not entrepreneurs, they were employees. And he just thought that there were many more freedoms that he could have if he followed in the footsteps of his parents. And the other story he has to tell is how Strategic Coach was the right place for him. And I think that, as we say, Strategic Coach is for entrepreneurs who are talented, who are successful, but they're very, very ambitious, and they've reached the point where they know that they can't do it on their own, that they need to be in a community. Entrepreneurism, I just want to make a point here. I've coached entrepreneurs for 46 years, and the biggest danger of entrepreneurs that I've seen where they get off track, where they get into one-way streets and blind alleys and everything comes from the fact that being an entrepreneur is a lonely activity. And it takes someone who can do things on their own to get started as an entrepreneur. That gets you started, but you don't want to stay alone very long. And what you want to do immediately is that, first of all, start hanging out with people who are also entrepreneurial, who are talented, who are successful, who have big ambitions. Okay, so you need that community. And if it's an ongoing community and it's got a little bit of system and organization to it, that's even better because you can report in Ricky's case, at least once a quarter. And he takes full advantage. I have to say that we should almost do a case study on Ricky because he just takes total advantage of the entrepreneurial community that surrounds him when he does his workshops every quarter in Los Angeles with one of our great coaches who's been a coach for more than 25 years. The other thing about it is that he totally understands that it's a who, not how situation, that his job is to set bigger and bigger goals for himself and his organization, but then to build a team around him that does all the hows to get to the goals. The entrepreneur's job is to set bigger and better goals that a whole team can achieve. And Ricky is just doing a wonderful job with this. And it's such a pleasure for me to listen to his story and also just say that the Strategic Coach is really a wonderful environment for his type of entrepreneur.
My name is Rick Smith. I live here in the Dallas, Texas area, and I run a pretty good, and I would call it a successful insurance and financial services agency. All of my family, I grew up around a family of entrepreneurs. My dad, my grandmother, uncles, brothers, a little bit of everyone around me has always owned their own business and done their own thing. My dad had a body shop for 40 years now. My grandmother had a dry cleaners. My brother has literally done construction with homes. We've done a little bit of everything all around the block. My little brother, he actually does a lot of HVAC work. Everybody has kind of run their own thing and done their own thing, and it rubbed off on me, and now I wanted to kind of go out and do my thing as well. The capability of managing your time and having that freedom, just like Dan talks about, the freedom of time, the freedom of purpose, freedom of money as well. I mean, there's no cap on what we're able to earn, so I really enjoy that as well. I think a lot of people kind of get closed-minded on just having this conversation not too long ago about how sometimes we can feel encapsulated just to kind of think a certain way, to do a certain thing, and to be a certain person. But I think being an entrepreneur allows you to maybe flap your wings a little bit more and do things outside of the norm, to think differently, to see both sides of the fence, to understand how a consumer may feel or an entrepreneur may feel, corporation may feel, government may feel. You kind of just want to understand all sides of everything to be a little bit more well-rounded. And I think that's what entrepreneurship has done for me. I know for sure the number one thing that I want to do every morning is wake up, kind of get my day going, a few different things, just like everyone else. I mean, you may try to get some exercise in, try to get a little self-time in, Now I just started taking cold showers, which has totally changed the game for me. I also spend some time with my family just to get them going, see how their day is going, and try to help out. My wife is a home engineer, and she gets our boys up. I have 4 little boys, and she gets them up and going throughout the day, especially with everything we're facing right now. She's been wonderful with the digital learning. But before I leave in the morning and I head out, we do daily affirmations with my boys. And that kind of really helps my wife and I out as well. We start out and we say, I am, and they say, smart, very smart, and I have a good memory. And then the next one we say is, I can, we say, do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And the next thing we say is, I say today, and they say, will be a great day. And I think that not only helps them, but it helps me and my wife as well, just to kind of stay focused and make sure that we're, doing what we are advising them to do as well. So those are some things that kind of get me going. And then I get in the car, and most of the time I'm listening to podcasts, whether it's something with Strategic Coach or whether it's something physical that I'm learning about my body, my mind, or just something even more entrepreneurial. I kind of stick around that realm of learning more about business and life. So my oldest is 7. His name is Jackson. And then there's Lincoln, who's 5. And then we have twins. They're both 3. There's Harrison and Hayes. We have 4 boys, and we stuck with the presidential name. So Jackson, Lincoln, Harrison, and Hayes. What's unique about the business that I run is probably more so just different personalities, different lifestyles, different people that we meet on a daily basis. It's more of a situation in which you kind of learn the background of the people that you're talking to, and you're able to help them traject their lives in a different direction, wherever they may want to go. And it's not always financially based, but we end up having conversations about things, like we're having today, what kind of keeps you going, what keeps you up at night. And we try to find things that help out with that. And it just so happens that sometimes money is the tool that kind of gets things going in the right direction. It relieves a lot of stress to have things more under control, whether it's the protection that comes with insurance or whether it's the planning that comes with financial services. There is a time and a place for everything. There's a plan, and sometimes that plan is not yours, but you're a part of a plan. And I ended up being a part of a plan that ended up working out very, very well for me. I think that I couldn't see myself in a different situation. It was absolutely great. I have a great team. My team probably wouldn't have been the same team being in a different area, a different part of town. So I'm very blessed and very thankful to be where I am today. But that experience allowed me to know how to keep going and know how to not only persevere, but just, I guess you could say, just tweak things instead of just totally shutting down. And I think that's what we have a natural instinct to do, is just to, crumble. Where instead of crumbling, we may just need to kind of just keep moving. And if you just keep moving, the next opportunity will come and you'll be a part of that plan that just, ends up being where it should be. I could say that I'm most excited about, and this sounds so brash, but I'm more excited about the challenge that we're facing right now. Again, like I mentioned before, when you run into challenges, I think that on the other side of the hill is just so much more brighter, so much more warmer, so much more sunshine and happiness and glee that you just want to face situations. So I'm learning a lot about business. I'm learning a lot about people. I'm learning a lot about myself. I don't think that I would necessarily be in the same place if everything was just kosher at the moment. I would probably be so comfortable that I might be sleeping in. I might not be working out as much. I might just be kind of crumbling. And I didn't, slowly crumbling and not seeing it because I'm just so comfortable. So I think that most importantly, when you're faced with situations like I am, or we all are at the moment, you kind of have to grab a hold and enjoy the ride. Sounds crazy, but I think that you kind of have to find those bright moments, find a routine. And that's something that I'm learning about myself is I may not see that I have consistency, but a lot of other people do. And they remind me that even though I'm not perfect, I'm going in the right direction. It's kind of funny, right? So Strategic Coach, for me, I did some research. There came a point toward about a little over 2 years ago where I spent about 4 months just researching different coaching programs. Younger in my life, I spent a lot of time playing sports. I did pretty well. I didn't play collegiately for a lot of reasons, but I had the opportunity just kind of turn those down for some personal reasons. But it was more of a situation for me. Whenever I had a coach, I had someone who didn't necessarily give me guidance, but they pushed me and they helped me to see more of what I could do. And they also provided me with the tools or the exercises, the different types of modes or different things that you would necessarily need to do to be prepared for game day. And I learned within myself that when I had a coach and when I had someone, pushing me and helping me to run those plays on a daily basis, that when game time came around, I did very well. So I thought about that for business. And I said that, hey, I want to do this same thing for business and I want to see how that works. And to my surprise, I learned that a lot of other people already had coaches and I just didn't know. I wasn't familiar with the business coach world. And we know how technology is. Once you start to say things, everything comes about all over you. So it became a situation in which I started to search about business coaches and started to learn more. All of these different varieties of coaching programs came about, and I learned so much of what was out there and what was available. And I settled with a great opportunity. And I won't say settled, that's the wrong word. I actually chose the best program for me. And Strategic Coach has been a very, very good program. I have a wonderful group of people that I learned from, and it's been a great experience. We spend a lot of time on Zoom calls, WhatsApp, Instagram. We call each other, we visited each other. There's so many great things that I've done with the people in my class. And I don't think that I would be, again, I'm going to keep saying this, but I don't think that I would be where I am right now mentally without that group of people and without Strategic Coach. So I'm very thankful for that. Just because a lot of the tools that we have available to us, I've learned it was kind of, I guess you can say it got in front of me that I was already having those situations and I just didn't know that they were situations. I was going through the moment and not being intentional. So I think that Strategic Coach allows me to be a little bit more intentional and be prepared so that when things come about, I'm able to respond in a way that benefits everybody, benefits me, benefits my team, it benefits my customer. Because if I make good decisions, everyone wins. And I try my best to utilize those tools to be more prepared. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting there. There's a ton of tools available. I spend some time, or I try to allocate time to learn more about what can help me in certain situations that I have. And I think with anybody in any situation, if you're well prepared and you have the things that you need in any situation, it alleviates the stress, it alleviates a lot of the headache, the concern, the anxiety. And I think that's where it allows me to become stronger and become better for everyone around me. I don't know how else to say it. It's covered all across all bases. You talk time management, you talk delegation, you talk just empowerment, you talk about just having the confidence to make choices, the 4 C's. It's so many different things that are used on a daily basis. It's just kind of like a hidden secret. It's things that you should know. It's things that are very common sense. But just like sugar and eggs and flour and everything else is common sense, if you put that with the wrong person, you might not end up with the cake. So I definitely understand how Strategic Coach was put into place to do what they do for a lot of small business owners, and I appreciate it greatly. I really do.
It almost makes me nervous sometimes when I hear Strategic Coach entrepreneurs, because since March, it's been the same story hundreds of times of entrepreneurs to say, I hope this doesn't end too soon. He said, I'm just making such great progress. I'm making such great breakthroughs. And the reason is that entrepreneurs are very, very skillful at creating their own future regarding how they're going to be as an individual, how they're going to be from a standpoint of business, because they are not asking someone else to create their future for them. They're creating their own future. And actually, I've been coaching for 46 years, and I think this is about the 7th or 8th significant downturn of one kind in the economy. And in every case, if I did a long-term review of my entrepreneur's progress, they'd say, every time it gets bad for other people, it gets good for me. Every time that things slow down, I speed up. Every time it seems that people are running out of opportunities and running out of revenue, mine always increase. And I think it's a mindset. Because entrepreneurs, by definition and by their very nature, are contrarians. Whichever way the crowd is going, they're going in the opposite direction, because where the crowd's going, the opportunities are getting smaller, the profit margins are getting smaller, productivity is going down. But in the opposite direction, that's where all the new opportunities are. And the big opportunity during 2020 has been virtual conferencing, especially Zoom. And I'm just amazed at the speed with which entrepreneurs who hadn't necessarily been involved with virtual conferencing before, they were one-on-one, they were in person, they would travel for it. Within a matter of weeks, they completely shifted as if they'd been practicing this and mastering it for 10 years. They just switched. It was just like, boom. Oh, new way of doing business, new way of creating opportunity, new way of collaborating with other people, all sorts of new possibilities available, not just locally, but nationally and globally. It's an amazing thing. When I'm with individuals who are not entrepreneurs and they say, how are things going? I say, it's pretty good. Things are hanging in there, really hanging in there. And I can't tell them, the excitement. I can't tell them the joy that's coming through from my entrepreneurial clients. So this is the biggest event of my life. I was born in 1944. I was born 2 weeks before the invasion of Normandy. So there's a lot of big things have happened in the world since I've been alive. But I have to tell you, this event this year, we'll look back 10 years from now, and that was a game changer. And the people who are changing the game are the type of entrepreneurs like Ricky Smith in the Strategic Coach Program.